All right, let's take two, people. What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another good morning Tottenham to preview the Crystal Palace game on Boxing Day. We're going for some more Antonio Conte wins at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 2 games already been called off on Boxing Day, but let's hope the Spurs game is going to go ahead. Looking like it will, to be honest. All the Spurs players, a clean bill of health at Spurs, apart from Ryan Sessegnon and Cuti Romero. And no advertised cases at Crystal Palace either. But what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be going through Antonio Conte's press conference, every word that he says in the build-up to the Palace game, and then we're going to be doing a match preview, and then we're going to be getting you guys on to have your say on the game. But without further ado, let me introduce my very special guest for today, and it is the great Brian Daigle, everyone, back in the studio. Things you love to see. Only a week since he's left the country, but he's already back here. Brian, good to have you back, man.
It is so good to be back here in the studio with you, Ben. I miss this place terribly. It's fantastic to be back. I know, I've been back a week. It's taken, I was literally itching at the bit to get in, but obviously with this COVID going around, we have to be careful, but it is honestly brilliant to be back in the studio with you, buddy.
Look, at the end of the day, it'd be great to say you're back here to be on We Are Tottenham, but you're back for a more serious reason. And please give us an update on Bob Spur, because everyone keeps asking, everyone wants to know, so please let us know what's going on right now.
So first of all, I will say I got to give a big shout out to obviously Tammy, who is Bob's ex, and his kids Tyler, Arian, AJ and Aisha, who we went and saw yesterday, Kim and myself, to make sure they all got their Christmas presents from Bob Spur. So we went up there, and I do have news today. Now, obviously, Kim and Tammy, who is Bob's ex, and I have been speaking, and they've been calling the hospital regularly. And we've always said that if there's an update, we will update you. Well, today I can give an update, and it's a fairly positive one. So, what we discovered today is they have eased the sedation on him. He is breathing a lot more easier himself. The doctors haven't gone around and seen him yet this morning, so I'm going to keep looking at my phone like those Sky reporters for breaking news, so you guys will get it first. But the good thing is he is breathing a little easier. They're easing the sedation, but by no means, I have to manage expectations here, he is not out of the woods. It's a very positive step. It's trending in the right direction, but that's where we're at now. We're waiting to hear what the doctors say when they go on their rounds today. But as we speak, they are easing the sedation. Apparently, he's breathing a little easier himself. But like we said, this is just a little ray of sunshine that will hopefully turn into an incredible sunrise. And we'll find out more later on today. But for once, I can give you some news, and it is fairly positive. So that's where we are as of about 9:30 this morning.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an important message. Keep fighting, Bob. We know you got it in you, but at least there's positive news, and it's a step in the right direction, isn't it?
Correct. I mean, obviously, it's the reason that I'm back here. As you said, I couldn't have my best mate just there and not being able to help. It's been hard for his ex and his kids, who don't really understand it, but they've been incredible, as has Tammy, and obviously Kim, who has been absolutely sensational. Kim, honestly, obviously, we've only known her for a little time that she's been in the family, but she's just been incredible. But for once, where we've had a lot of clouded news or a lot of negative news, it's starting to be positive. And we all know that Bob is a huge fighter and will fight this. And right now, he's winning. So let's just hope that continues.
Come on, Bob. We all believe in you, my friend. We all love you, and we can't wait to have you back. That's the main point. But let's move on and let's start talking about Tottenham. Let's get into Antonio Conte's press conference, 15 minutes press conference. So let's play it, and then we'll see what we can think about it afterwards.
Good morning. Good morning, Antonio. Thanks for your time. Could we get the latest these days? It's injury news and COVID news affecting the squad, please.
In this moment, no news. Also because yesterday we had a day off, and Romero is injured, and Sessegnon is injured. No news at the moment.
So just to clarify on that, the COVID outbreak, have you got all the players back now and no new cases so far?
No, and we don't have new cases of COVID, and no, all the players are back in training.
And there was a meeting yesterday on this issue, on player welfare, on the fixture congestion, about 5 subs as well. Just generally with the Premier League, were you at that meeting, and what was discussed, and how do you feel about the pressure on players in this period?
If I have to be honest, I think that it was a meeting that yeah, I mean, we tried to speak, and some coaches try to speak and to ask about solution, but I think that everything was decided, and I think yesterday, and it was a wall, and for this reason also I prefer to don't go into the discussion, the conversation.
It's a waste of time.
I think so.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
But I, as I said to you before, because when you have a wall in front of you, and you can speak, you can ask what you want, but everything was every decision was taken.
Thanks, Gary. Pete Colley, please.
Hiya, Antonio. Have you done anything different this week to keep the spirits high amongst your players? How have you kept people happy?
But for sure, this Christmas period is a period that make you happy, make you happy, and to live Christmas, I think is an amazing period for many persons. And in England, you live this period with football. I think that maybe we are one of the few countries that decided to play in this period and don't give holiday. And for this reason, I think that you can enjoy in one hand because you can celebrate and to stay with your family, but in other hand, and you have to pay attention to prepare the game, to live football in this period. And for sure, this is a great experience. I lived this experience in my past, and I enjoyed a lot. And now I'm living again, and the spirit must be happy. And because the period, I think for me is a fantastic, is an amazing period during Christmas.
It must have been really pleasing to see Harry Kane score against Liverpool, but was it a happy Harry Kane that you found when you first joined Tottenham?
Yeah, but Harry and showed me great availability and showed me to be involved totally in Tottenham project, and I see him every day, and I see that he's happy. He leaves the training ground. He leaves the dressing room. And he lives during the training session in a fantastic way, and I'm happy. I'm happy for what I'm seeing every day.
And finally, from me, has Patrick Vieira surprised you that he's become a good manager, and especially in the Premier League?
No, I'm not surprised because Patrick Vieira was a fantastic midfielder, and usually midfielder. When you are midfielder, and then you have more possibility to become a manager, because for the position that you play during the game, and you see both situations, offensively and defensively, and Patrick, and I was sure that he could become a really good manager. He's doing very well, and I'm happy for him.
Buon Natale.
Buon Natale. Grazie.
George Cummins, please.
Thanks, Anthony. Antonio, hello. I just wondered, on this Premier League meeting, can you tell us what you said you wanted, and where are you going to play all these matches that Tottenham have got to play, because you've got so many games now?
Yeah, but now, and we are our next fixture are against Crystal Palace, and then Southampton, and then Watford, and we don't know next plan and next games, when we are going to play the games that we have to Premier League decided to postpone.
And just on the Premier League meeting, I know there was a captain's meeting yesterday. I believe Hugo Lloris was on it. Can you tell us how he felt? Was he disappointed when he left the captain's meeting?
No, I didn't understand. No, only manager yesterday, only manager, and the Premier League. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Sorry.
Thanks, George. Rob Guest, please.
Antonio. Giovanni Lo Celso's been on the bench the past couple of games, but he's not come on. Is he someone you're looking to play over the festive period, because he's only played in 2 games under you so far?
But Giovanni was injured, and if you remember, during the period with the national team, and Romero and Giovanni Lo Celso came back injured, and Romero is still injured, and Giovanni is trying to have a good training session to improve his physical condition, and then to be ready to play with us, and that's all.
Where do you see his best position in your Tottenham setup? Because since he's been at the club, he just seems to have played in a number of different roles.
But he can play as a midfielder, and if we decided to play with the 3 midfielders, or he can play as number 10 if we decide to play with the 2 number 10 and 1 striker.
Thanks, Rob. Dan Kilpatrick, please.
Hi, Antonio.
Hey.
A month ago, after the Mura game, you said the level wasn't so high and things weren't so simple at Tottenham. I wondered now, do you feel the level is already much higher? And have you been surprised by how quickly you've been able to raise the level?
But for sure, when I speak and I tell something, and I don't change my opinion, but at the same time, and I have to try to improve the situation in every aspect. And I always say that to improve the level of the Tottenham team, we need to improve the level of single players. And the only way that I know to work with my players, to improve my players. I don't complain about situation that could be positive or negative, but when I spoke, I said something, and it was my opinion. But at the same time, and we are working very well. We are working every day in a hard way to try to improve every single player, because this is the only way to improve the level of Tottenham. But I think the gap with many teams exists, and we have to know this. And this shouldn't be an alibi for us, an excuse, but only it must be a boost to try to give more and more.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. George Sessions, please.
Hi, Antonio. You just mentioned about playing Palace on Boxing Day, and then 2 days later you've got Southampton. Is it almost impossible for the players to be playing 2 games in 3 days? And are you fearing that you're going to get injuries during that little period?
Yeah, and it's not easy. It's not easy for us. It's not easy for all the teams, and to play after only 1 day is not simple, and you have to manage the situation very well, because the risk to lose players for injuries, and I think this we have to pay great attention, especially my team, and because don't forget that we had half team, half squad with COVID, and in the previously in the press conferences, I say that when you take COVID, and then you have to live with this situation for 2-3 weeks after you finish, no, to have COVID, and we have to try to manage the situation very well, and because for sure physically and a bit the players with COVID they are not 100% fit, and but we must be ready, and for sure in these 2 games we try to rotate the players to find a good balance, a good solution, also because then we want to have a good result, and not only to play 2 games.
And just a follow up from me, it was this period a couple of years ago that Harry Kane injured his hamstring. Are you looking at him, and I know you've previously said that you almost need him to play every game, but are you looking at him and fearing a little bit if he does have to play these 3 games and 90 minutes in all of them as well?
Yeah, I know this, and it's difficult to think that yeah, it's difficult to start the game, no, without Harry, because I think he's a point of reference in our team. For sure these days I speak with him, I speak with the players, because I want to understand very well which is the real physical condition, if there is someone that has a bit of fatigue, and it will be very important to have a good chat with the players, because we have to manage this period. This period is not easy, but not only for us, but for all the teams in the Premier League.
Final one in this section, Sungmo Lee, please.
Hello, Antonio.
Hello.
My question is a little bit similar with Dan's, but let me ask you in a different way. The Tottenham fans are very happy to see there are many players such as Ben Davies, Harry Winks, Eric Dyer, who was developed much better since you arrived Tottenham. So can you tell me how did you make them a better player in a short period of time, and what's the next step for them, do you think?
The next step for sure has to continue to improve, and next step this is next step, to continue to work and to improve tactically, physically, technically, and I think we have space for improvement. And the most important thing is to continue to have this commitment, this will, this desire to improve themselves, and this is the most important thing for us, because as I said before, and if you want to improve the level of the team and our level in the team, and we need to improve the level of a single player, and if we are able to do this, and for sure we are going to become stronger than now or than the past.
Thanks, Mo. Okay, so we'll end the broadcast.
All right. Well, that was Antonio Conte's press conference up top. That was hard viewing, to be honest. The journalism there was absolutely disgraceful. I mean, such stupid questions. I mean, the only thing I take away from that is the players that are not fit, basically. I mean, is there anything else that you can take away from that?
No, I mean, just touching on what you were saying, I mean, you've got one of the great footballing minds, an elite manager who's won multiple championships, and you ask him, how are you keeping their spirits up at Christmas? That's what you're asking him. And also, Harry Kane was sad when you got him. Is he happy now after school? What difference does it make? Honestly, I don't know if people in the chat were like this. I saw people saying about the pathetic questions, but that was really, really hard watching. Not just because of Conte at all, because the man's a god, but the questions were just pathetic.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's get into the match preview. Obviously, we got Crystal Palace at home on Sunday, Boxing Day. The game has been picked for TV now, as one of the games that was on TV has been postponed. So Tottenham have been promoted to TV. When you're looking at this Crystal Palace side, how are you assessing them at the moment? Because, you know, a lot of people saying they're doing well, but they're not getting that many wins on the board at the moment.
They're not, and I mean, I hate what I'm about to say. You've got to admire what Vieira's doing, and I don't mean because of where they are in the league. You got to remember, he took over from Roy Hodgson, who played a very, very dull brand of football that worked for him and everywhere he went. And then you bring in Vieira, who's relatively inexperienced, especially at Premier League level, and has completely changed that philosophy 180. Got them a younger squad playing great football. The signing of Sam Gallagher is incredible. And they're playing Connor. There you go. I just make people's names up. Why not?
Sam Gallagher's, I think, is the Southampton.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. So you got to admire what he's doing. But yeah, they need to. It's always been their problem. They get too many draws, don't they? I mean, they were outstanding against us, but we were just shockingly poor. Yeah. But you got to like what they're doing. I don't think they're in danger of getting relegated, and you got to think Vieira's doing the right thing there.
He is. He's doing a good job. But let's hope he's in for a tasty reception when he comes to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Let's say that, because when I was at Selhurst Park, there were enough songs about him. You know, the old Vieira song when he was playing back at Arsenal. So you know, Vieira, blah blah. I'm not going to sing it all.
Yeah,
here,
please, let's not.
But when you're looking at the form of the two sides, you know, Spurs on good form, obviously, unbeaten under Antonio Conte in the league. But when you're looking at their form, I mean, 3 losses, a win and a draw in their last 5. I mean, it's not the greatest, is it? But they've been performing well. That's the thing, haven't they?
They have been performing well. But what I will say is, I've always said it with this fixture, I hate going to Palace away. We always seem to have such a hard time there, such a hard time. But the reverse leg is something completely different. It's really night and day. With both the home teams at their home games perform much higher than the others, and I expect nothing but the same come Sunday.
Yeah, and when you look at you know, the past games that we've played against them, when they've come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think they've only scored 1 goal at our home, whether it be Wembley, White Hart Lane, and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They've only scored 1 goal since 2016. We've won every single one of those games, and the only 1 goal that they did score was last season in a 4-1 win for us. So you got to look at this game and think, you know, we've got to get 3 points in this game, and anything beyond a convincing Spurs victory is not really good enough.
Exactly, without a doubt. And seeing that now we know, obviously Romero's out, and I've said Sessegnon, we are back to full strength after the COVID outbreak. So anything other than 3 points is a huge disaster.
And when you're looking at the kind of Crystal Palace team, I mean, who really impressed you? I mean, you've mentioned Conor Gallagher. I reckon player 10 on the right wing. Does he interest you? No, I'm joking. That must be a mistake. But which other Crystal Palace players do worry you?
Right, so my eyesight is really bad. I can't even see what that lineup says, and I've even got a laptop here, and I can't even see what it says. So I'll tell you who I have been impressed with. We should have got Anderson. Joachim Anderson, I think he's a great player, and he's been doing bits. Zaha's been very in and out. Benteke, who always causes us problems, always has, when he's come on, has looked good. They've got, but Gallagher is the one that stands out by a country mile.
Gallagher, yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think their centre-backs in Tompkins and Guehi's actually really impressed me. Scored a few goals this season as well. Obviously a big aerial threat from set pieces. And that midfield of Conor Gallagher with Chet Kouyaté in there as well is going to be difficult. I mean, Conor Gallagher, I'm just going to go back to him because he's been sensational this season. He really has, really impressed me. He's got 6 goals and 3 assists this season as well, with Zaha having 5 goals to his name. Last time when we played them back at Selhurst Park, I mean, it was that big battle, wasn't it, against Tanganga and Wilfried Zaha, where ultimately Tanganga played well, but Wilfried Zaha ended up coming out on top after Tanganga got sent off and what have you. But do you expect maybe Tanganga to come in again for this one, or do you think it will just be the same back three of Dyer, Sanchez and Davies?
I just can't see him changing it. At the moment, I think that is the most settled, and with it, all right, they may not be the most aesthetically pleasing and they each might make a mistake in them, but that is the most settled backline we've had probably since Jan and Toby. It really has, and they're doing a good job, and I don't think he can afford to drop them right now. I really don't. And Tanganga, I do like him, but is he going to have that thought of the Crystal Palace game and want to prove a point and maybe over prove it and cause an issue? I would stick with the same back three.
If you just bring the one to watch graphic on, you can see obviously these are their 2 key men, Zaha and Conor Gallagher. I keep going back to Conor Gallagher because he is such a sensational player, and it pains me that he's a Chelsea player. It just pains me because he's going to go back there next season. He's going to slot straight into that midfield, isn't he?
He is. I mean, we're getting to see it. The amount of youngsters Chelsea have coming through that they're sending out on loan. And I didn't know a lot about him before he went to Palace. I knew they were raving about him and they went out to get first team football. But when you've seen Crystal Palace on TV, his performances have been fantastic. And that goal he scored the other week, I think it was against Newcastle, when he just smashed it into the postage stamp. It was incredible. And he's putting in really, really good performances. He's one to watch, very much so.
When you're kind of looking at Spurs, right, since Conte's come in, do you think that we are playing very well and you put it all down to Conte? Or do you think that maybe we've been slightly lucky with our kind of fixtures since Conte's come in? Because he's only played 1 away game, and that 1 away game was to Everton. 2 away games have been called off, and the others have been kind of home games where even under Nuno you would expect us to win.
Would you really have?
Well, under Nuno, you know, we beat these kind of teams at home, right? When you're looking at the teams that Conte has played, Leeds, Norwich,
Brentford, right.
You know what I mean? These games, you expect Spurs to win.
I suppose, right. I mean, everyone was obviously saying the biggest test to come is Liverpool, and we all know what happened there. And if this is what he's done with 2 weeks of no game time with the COVID outbreak and got players like Ali, like Wings, putting in performances like that, just imagine what he's going to do when he's got a pre-season or the rest of this season without the Thursday night hassle. It's only positive, but we'll have to wait. This Christmas period, as we know, is such make and break for people's seasons, and especially with our fixture pile up for those 2 postponed games, and then add on top the Burnley one. It's going to be a real test of this strength in depth, and we just hope that these games weren't one-game wonders, and we see more of the same.
Yeah, and when you're looking at Spurs, I mean, where do you think the vulnerabilities are for us Sunday? Where do you think Palace can hurt us?
Again, it all depends. I think obviously that back three is solid and settled, and it's just now finding the right blend for the midfield. And I don't think it's always Ndombele, Dele and Winks. I think there's times now where you can play a Højbjerg and a more creative, or a Skip and a more creative, rather than playing Højbjerg and Skip. Although they did great against West Ham, I think that's where we need to experiment, because we were on the front foot against Liverpool and we gave them such a good... And to say that we're sitting here annoyed that we didn't take 3 points, I think we need to try and find a blend to break those two up. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but to keep them fit and fresh and get some more creativity is finding that blend. So we'll wait and see what happens on Sunday, but hopefully just one of them will start.
And you saw against Liverpool how we went for a slightly different formation with 3 in midfield. And then for the cup game, we moved it back to that 2 in midfield with Skip and Højbjerg. Which way do you think he's going to go for the Palace game? Do you think that Liverpool game was just like a plan just for Liverpool, or do you think we can see that formation moving forward maybe?
So what I think he did it with Liverpool was, obviously he saw there was no Fabinho, there was no Henderson, there was no Van Dijk. He knew, he knew there was the weakness to, like, you know, great managers find the area of weakness on a team and just batter it and batter it and batter it and just target it. And that's what Conte does. He's an elite manager. He sees these weaknesses. And that's what I'm loving about Conte. Like, we're talking, how many different formations has he played? 3-4-3, 5-3-2, 3-5. And he identifies where the issue is. But I must admit, I prefer the 3-5-2 out of all of them. I think we're getting the best out of Kane in that. And we look more expansive on that formation. So I'm hoping he goes for that with Palace.
And if he does, I mean, who would you like the midfield 3 to be?
Oh.
Because Winks has come in and played well.
He has. I think Winks, he starts.
Ndombele played an okay game last time out. You've got Skip and Højbjerg, who both played really good games against West Ham. You've got a midfield. You've got a lot of midfielders that are playing well at the moment. Dele Alli as well.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say that Dele Alli's been playing well. Everyone knows my feelings on that, man. But it was one good game. Let's just hope that continues. But do you know what? The two that I'd definitely start would be Winks and Skip. I want Højbjerg to play against Southampton away, because obviously he's going back to his old club and he wants to hopefully put on a show. And then I think that final place is up for grabs. But loving I mean, I think Lucas Moura against West Ham, some of the passes he was playing and whatever. And I, as you know, me and John Cooper are head of the Moura Sexual Fan Club. And I think he has been playing very well recently. So I think if I had to, that'd be my 3. Winks, Skip.
And then Lucas a bit further forward, slightly further forward.
Exactly, just drifting.
And then obviously Kane and Son up top, Emerson right wing back, Reguilon left wing back, and the 3 centre backs that we spoke about before.
Exactly.
That would be your team to go. And if that is the team, where are we going to find most joy then? Is it going to be attacking through the centre? Is it going to be the flying fullbacks? Or is it just going to be a mixture of everything?
I think with Conte it may be a mixture of everything. But when we played the reverse fixture, obviously we played those 3 midfielders that just did not work at all, and we just didn't know what we were doing.
I mean,
but
that was you know, after that performance, everyone was saying, no, I don't want to see Winks setting the Spurs shirt again.
I was one of them. I was completely one of them. But I think right now, when you look at the Liverpool game and you look at there's different variations of doing it. And one thing I will say is if Emerson's playing, I'd rather go through the middle, because it's just, he needs to work on his crossing and his end product big time, because it really is turning out to be an issue that he gets into these positions and then his final ball comes in and it don't pass the first man. So down the centre or using Reggie.
Would you be tempted to play a Matt Doherty instead of an Emerson? What did you make out of his performance last week?
Well, as I said, and Brains McLeod picked it up, said, well, he weren't a car crash like normal. So saying he weren't, to say he weren't a car crash is actually a positive. Listen, at this time, we have to, the main thing is game management and squad rotation to make sure these players don't get injured. And especially with all right, we've passed the COVID outbreak, but we know our strength in depth isn't brilliant. So he has got to box smart, especially with these. If we win these games in hand, we're in top 4. I believe we are in top 4, aren't we? If we clearly we're in top 4. So,
but not only are we in top 4, if we win these games in hand, I think we're only 2 points behind Chelsea and 7 points off the top.
There you go. So I mean, this is what it's come down to. And then if you have to play a Doherty, if you look at it, would you rather play a Doherty at home to Palace, away to Southampton? I would say at home to Palace. That's the one I would choose out of the. So if he was to play one of those games, it would be this one.
I'd agree with that. All right. Well, having said all that, what is your score prediction going into Sunday?
So until he's back on streams, every single prediction is going to be Bob Spur's prediction, and it's 4-1 Tottenham.
4-1 Tottenham. I like that. 4-1 Tottenham. The exact same scoreline as last year. I think we're in for a good game this week. I mean, every time Crystal Palace come to us, we seem to do the business, don't we? They've got a very bad record coming to our home. So having said that, I'm going to go 3-0 Spurs.
I'm just hoping I don't go to the toilet when a goal gets scored again. So hopefully there's loads of goals. So
Keep
I don't
going to the toilet as much as possible, Brian.
That was so annoying without Hoiberg a goal of all people. But yes, I reckon a convincing win.
All right, we're both going convincing wins. I'm going 3-0. Bob Spur is going for 4-1, and so is Brian, by the way. But I want to know all your score predictions in the comments section below. That is your match preview for the big game this weekend. Now it is time for you guys to have your say on the game this weekend. And let's start off with Phil. Phil, how's it going, man? I can't hear him.
Oh.
I can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear. Yeah, I'm great, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Great to have you back on the show. You looking forward to the game this weekend? You confident?
Yeah. Palace at home. I think I've been to the last couple, and it's just been just a good performance. It's like a good time to play them. You know, Conte's put in a bit of stability for us, but maybe this is the one where we could just sort of, you know, let the shackles off and go for it. We haven't had a good sort of high scoring game this season, so you know, all hopes for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, how do you really assess Palace? Because they've been playing well this season, haven't got many wins on the board, but they're impressing a lot of fans at the moment. How do you kind of assess them?
Yeah, they've definitely changed the way they play, haven't they, since Hodgson's gone. I would say now they seem a lot more solid. Yeah. It's almost like he's building some foundations for them to be a good side without being a brilliant side. But you're right, the guy you were talking about earlier, that Gallagher, you know, he just looks something special, doesn't he? Yeah, very definitely. Frustrating that he's at Chelsea, but you know, he's building a better sort of team mentality. Whereas before they just kind of, you know, you sat back and they may have got the odd goal here and there. They do feel that they're scoring more, but there's still no real momentum for them in winning their games.
Well, you know what it is, Phil, as well. You look at it, and just to touch on Palace a bit more, the way that Vieira has done this, you got to remember, when he took over, I think there were like 13 players out of contract or coming in. Obviously, they were used to a particular brand of football for years and years and years. The average age was one of the highest in the league, and he's just completely 180'd them. I mean, from Palace fans that I know, they're raving about Vieira because obviously it's a brand of football they want to see. I mean, it is more exciting for them, and I think they'll create a lot more than they normally do at Tottenham. Like we've been saying, Gallagher, it's keeping him quiet, but we cannot underestimate what Vieira's done, as much as it pains me to say that.
Because I suppose the challenge will be for Palace is keeping hold of him, isn't it? You know, because he'll, you know, if he's proving himself at somewhere like Palace, then there'll be bigger jobs beckoning for them. But let's hope he just stays there for a good time.
Yeah, I mean, one more bad run for Arteta, he could be the next Arsenal manager, couldn't he?
Well, I honestly, after about 3 or 4 games, you know, when they were sort of sat there at the bottom of the league, it was kind of, I was looking at it then thinking, I wonder if they'll go for Vieira now, but they seem to be sticking with Arteta, fortunately for us.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hope it stays that way. Do you think that maybe the way that they play football now can play more into our hands, saying if they do play a bit more expansive, come at us, then we can pick them off a bit more easier than we usually do?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously you were talking about your formation before. I think if we do the Liverpool formation, how we were there, we seem to be more attack minded. We just seem to have more space, more time on the ball. And when he changed it against West Ham late on, for me, we felt more comfortable then. I mean, your back three are pretty settled now. I think the only change that's coming there is Romero when he comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just felt there was more fluidity and they could just get in and around with the ball, and you know, there was just more chances coming. And I think you were right when you were like, we're disappointed, you know, that we sat here and didn't beat Liverpool. And you know, this time last week you were nowhere near thinking that, were you?
Yep. Especially with that midfield. Who would you play in the midfield three? If we were doing the 3-5-2, who's your three in midfield?
I'm painfully. I guess looking at the fixtures coming thick and fast, I would probably do the same as Liverpool, and I think I would save you Skip and Højbjerg possibly for Southampton where we go away. But I just think the three of them had such a good game last week. You just got to give it another run, and maybe that's why he went for the team he did on Wednesday, just to give them a little bit of a break before Tuesday.
Is it just me? But I don't think Ndombele played. I mean, I don't want to see Ndombele. Apart from the pass to Kane for the goal, I don't really see what Ndombele did apart from a few step overs that lost the ball and everything. So I can't believe it. But Dele and Winks, if they start, I'll be like, okay. But I really don't want to see Ndombele. I really don't.
I mean, for me, Ndombele, I think obviously he has that X factor, doesn't he? He can just provide that pass at any time, at any moment. And Ndombele, when you look at that pass again, it was such a high quality pass.
Yep.
Any other midfielder, right, could have easily just sprayed the ball out wide to Emerson. He found that killer ball into Harry Kane, absolutely pinpoint. Yes, he might have tired towards the end of the game there, but if Conte can end up trusting Ndombele, then what a creative player we have in the middle there. And it's all up to Conte, isn't it, Phil?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I kept my eye on him early on, and normally he's kind of somebody who just wanders around the pitch. But if you go back and watch the first 15, 20 minutes, he was proper running and he was trying to get on the ball. Yes, his tackling is poor, but that's not his role. He's there's no point thinking of him as a CDM. That's what you have Winks in for. But to be able to get on the ball and, thread a pass. And then I would say again, especially in a home fixture against Crystal Palace, that's what you need, because he absolutely split Liverpool open. And you're right. The easy pass was out wide to Emerson and then possibly a cross coming in, but he picked out that pass, but he just doesn't do it enough. And he just needs to do more, but you just hope that Conte is working with him and, bringing him up to that level that we think he should be at.
Yeah, and him playing that Liverpool game is probably a sign that he is working in training, because Conte won't pick him if he's not, will he?
No, not at all. He must be as close to being match fit as possible. Otherwise, he wouldn't get a look in, because he doesn't carry any passengers. Conte, does he? If you're not fit, you're not ready, you don't play, because you don't do enough for the team, and it's all about the team for him.
Do you know what? I can actually see Gio Anderton making an appearance, as I call him.
We might have to call Ryan Sessegnon, Ryan Sess-Anderton as well.
Exactly. I mean, I loved it when the journalist was saying, Gio, don't know if you remember, he was injured. I was like, tell me a time when he wasn't. But I think if there's going to be a game where he might get to show it, I'd play him. If I had to choose right now, and I'm being serious, Ndombele or Gio, we need to see something from Gio. He needs a game. And again, I think home against Palace, at least what you get with him is he will tackle. And if Gallagher starts running the show, at least there's someone there that will track back, that will fight, that will tackle. But hey, what do I know? He'll probably get injured trying to tackle him, knowing my luck.
Probably get injured in the warm-up or something, wouldn't he?
Where should we be wary of Crystal Palace this weekend? Where can they hurt us, do you reckon?
Definitely Gallagher through their midfield, and then obviously you've got Zaha, who's again, it's always a toss of a coin with him, isn't it? You're either going to get a great guy or somebody who's just not interested, and I think that's what Tanganga started to do in the reverse fixture, wouldn't it? He started to sort of niggle him a little bit, because as soon as he gets that Zaha, he just loses interest. He gets frustrated and stuff. So, but they're definitely the watch outs. But I think the way our team will be set up now with the three at the back, it'll be better for us. We just got that more passion in there, and just some easier to kind of keep an eye on everything that's going ahead for them.
And Phil, just before we let you go, what's your score prediction going on Sunday?
Yeah, I think 3-0. I think it's a time where goals are coming. I don't see anything other than a convincing Tottenham victory, so I'll stick with my 3-0.
And actually, I just got one more question I asked Brian before in a preview. Conte obviously coming into a lot of praise, the way he's managing Spurs at the moment, a lot of players that were outcast performing well and stuff like that. But do you think that we've actually been quite kind of lucky with our fixture list since he's come in? Or do you give him just the most amount of praise?
I think both. I think he's had a better set of fixtures than if he'd come in September. But the big thing is he's made a difference to the way we play. And for me, the most important thing is the mentality. So, Liverpool score on Sunday and then we go 2-1 down. In seasons gone by, that would be the end of that. There's no pulling us back. Whereas even as fans, I'm sat there watching and going, oh, well, here we go. We've got to step it up. Same at West Ham. So he's brought that kind of confidence in. But I think it's definitely a combination of the two. But he's doing a great job. And, without getting into too much detail, a couple of great signings in January and next summer. And you've got to be hoping next season is a challenge for the title, not just, a tournament or a cup.
Do you think it says a lot that, against Liverpool and against West Ham, as soon as we conceded, we went up the other end and scored?
Yeah, both times, wasn't it? And, however the goals came, they came. And that's the most important thing. It's, they didn't sit back. They didn't, drop their heads or go, oh, here we go. It was, you felt even with them, it was just like, yeah, okay, so you've scored, we're coming back. And, they absolutely did it. And that's the first time in a few years that we've seen that in Tottenham, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And, sorry, just when you look at the other games that we've played this season, maybe a Crystal Palace, an Arsenal, a Chelsea, all these games that we lost earlier on this season, after we conceded that first goal, it was like game over, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you just, and again, with the whole setup and the way he is, if we started the season again now, you would actually be properly convinced when you go to the Emirates that we'd be winning, not, just our ever hopeful. Yeah, I just, he has made such a massive difference to our club, and bearing in mind he's done that with the same players. That's the bit that's so amazing. And whether the players that are sort of stepping up at the moment, your Winks and Ali, whether they're there for a while, who knows? But at the moment, they're doing what they need to for to convince the manager. So.
Happy days. Brian, did you want to say something?
No, that's it, matey. But Phil, just to say Merry Christmas, my man.
Merry Christmas,
and you. Yeah, Merry Christmas to all at Tottenham and all the fan base, and hopefully we'll catch up soon at one of the games.
Definitely.
Please God, brother.
Good to speak to you, Phil, and we shall speak
Get back
soon.
to work.
Merry Christmas, mate. Yeah, exactly.
Get back to work,
mate.
Yeah, no.
And that is the great Phil. But let's keep going from one great to another. Let's bring on Aravind. Aravind, long time no speak. How are you, sir?
Good. It's been a long break, but a positive break with a lot of good wins in the bag. Liverpool, West Ham, a lot of players who are performing, who weren't performing before. More than Winks and Ali, I'm really shocked that Davis is putting a good run of games at the left centre back, giving him 8 on 10 on ratings is not something which anyone would do. But he's for me more than Eric Dyer. Ben Davis has changed a lot. And we can see the players who are believing a system, are playing for them. Under Nuno, no one is playing under him, and we should have got him in the starting of the season. Oh my goodness! I know it's so hot. It's classic Spurs. It's so pissed off. If you'd have got him in the start of the season and backed him, we'd have been a much better run than what we are right now. You can see the difference. It's what 6 weeks on, and Conte has not lost a single Premier League match. That says a lot.
Aravind, I have to say something. I mean, obviously, I got the pleasure of speaking to you a lot when I was obviously here last time, and I can remember you and me were both very, very volatile with the situation going on, and you were screaming. And to see you nice and relaxed 6 weeks later as well, not just the players, is fantastic. All nice and relaxed. But I have to say, you touched on Ben Davies. Now, I've been saying this on all the streams I go on. Another defender that deserves a huge amount of credit is Davinson Sanchez. And I'll say why. Listen, he's not the most aesthetically pleasing defender. He does have a ricket in him. He does have a mistake. But when you went to the was it Vitesse's first game, wasn't it? He got his cut. Went off with his head cut. Came back on with his head bandage. Warrior. Came on against Leeds. Warrior. And all right, he's made the odd mistake, and defenders will. Now we obviously know Sanchez will do it a little bit more often, but he has done his job. And just that sliding tackle in the Liverpool game, the anticipation to see that and to see the danger, all three of them deserve credit. But I have to keep harping on about Davinson Sanchez because he's one of the guys that people are very, very quick to judge and say, oh, Davinson. Yes, we could do better. Yes, when Romero comes back, bye-bye Sanchez, he goes in and no one can argue it. But I think people need to give that back three, and not just Davies, Davinson Sanchez definitely needs a mention. What do you think, Aravind?
I mean, there's a reason why we paid 45 million for him. It's not like we are throwing off the money. I know I still believe there's a player in him, but it's just that he doesn't put in a consistent run of form, and then all the players go, oh, Sanchez is a bad player, he's not good. Yeah, I agree, but I do believe there's a player in him. It's just if he can just get the iffy moments off, because he's physically strong, he can physically battle, he has much better presence of mind than Eric Dyer in the middle, who's been performing really well, but he is a good player, and as much as we can see how we need to sell him, I would actually really want to keep him in the team. I don't think there's much better defenders who can play as a squad right now. We can get in, but as of now, I would try to keep him, and if he can get a good more runs of game, he could turn out to be a good player. And I totally agree with it. Sanchez has been performing decently well. I would not say is that he's performing that high expectations, but he's been putting a good run of forms, and Eric Dyer also is putting a good run of forms. So the most important thing in our squad is that we need to get our back three need to be settled, and that's the most important thing. The midfield, the attack can be changed much lot, but the back three is the most important thing, and there's no reasons why I can see the most important thing for me. What I can see from this team is that there is patterns of play, there is a philosophy, there's something which is going with the team that knows, oh, this is what is happening. And against the Liverpool match, I was so excited. I was so the feeling where you'd see that, oh, our Spurs is coming back. I can see that, and I've never been so confident going to a weekend. Oh yes, we can win this match, and it's now on to the big games which we need to take care of. It's been a long time, and we can get the positive feel right, but Daniel Levy needs to back him on January. If he's not going to back him on January, I'm going to come back pissed off right here again. There needs to be proper transfers going on right now. And for me, I don't give a shit. I don't care. The thing about our scouting system is, just want to say that if we believe in Dusan Vlahovic, get him in the club. I don't care if you're signing only one player in January, but that guy seems a baller. And that's the problem which our club doesn't do, is that we know there's a player not about potential who's performing really well, but we just don't pay the money. And then he goes to a city, goes to some other club, and then he's scoring, and we're like, a missed opportunity. For me, if he's doing really well, and it's good, it'll be a really good option. For me, everyone says that Kane needs a rest, I would also say that Son also needs a rest, and someone where we can flip-flop with players up front would be really good. I don't want someone to like be a backup who can also come and say, even I can score 15 goals, I can score 16 goals. And that's what is needed for this team to go much higher and higher. And for me, if if Conte needs him, get it done. Pay the money. He's young. He's scoring goals. He's something which we really need in the team, and it needs to be done if this club needs to go forward.
Aravind, if Levy doesn't stump up the money in January, we might have to get you on a plane here with Brian Daigle to march down the high street.
I am booking a ticket and coming over there. He's not going to. It's ludicrous if he doesn't. Look at what he's doing in 6 weeks, and if you're not going to back him, then what do you want more from it? And get out from the club. Then there's no point of what ambition you're showing. There's no ambition that's coming from this club if he's not going to back players. I'm again saying, I'm not telling him go and spend 400 million in January. All I'm trying to say is that we need to get players in this squad who are good enough, and not like I'm reading all these reports of some Grealish, and I don't want them on the club. I want some good players who can come over there and be a Spurs player who can take us one above. And Conte wants that type of players. He's not going to have some 20 million, 10 million player. And Kessie is some player. This is a free transfer player. We should get this done right now if we're really ambitious. Kessie, free transfer. Here's Antonio Conte. Here is the project. Get it done. This is what we do. It's 10 days. He's 10 days out of contract. I've never seen a club going reactive to get, okay, this is one player. which we can do. You can see Barcelona, they are on debt, but on debt, Ferran Torres, 55 million with 10 million add-ons. They want him. When will Spurs do it? When will Spurs get the players if they really want? I've never seen us going pre-contract. Have you? Can you tell me one player which Spurs has gone pre-contract to get him, or gone forward to start of the transfer window to get him? We don't. We need to wait till the end, get some cheap deals. That's not going to work.
I mean,
That's
I think
never going to work. If that's
I
the
think
model.
the last player we did it with, I think potentially was Lewis Holtby. I remember
I'm going to say Dele Alli.
Oh, Dele Alli, we signed for
We signed for 5 million, didn't we? And then we put him back on loan at Milton Keynes till the end of the season.
That's right. So we did it with him, and before that we did it with Lewis Holtby. I remember we signed him in January, and we were going to sign him at the end of his contract. We paid, I think, 3 million or something
bargain bucket
out of his contract, and that turned out well, didn't it? But Aravind, what formation would you like to see on Sunday?
For me, I want to, to be serious, as much as Winks and Ali has put in a good performance, I want them to give another match. I want to see them what more they can perform, because one game is not enough. Play 3-5-2, play Ndombele, Winks and Ali. See how it goes, because I have a feeling that he's going to put in that same formation. Either it's because Dele Alli is going in the transfer list to just raise his price, and Winks, as much as they're putting a good performance, for me as of now they're still in the transfer list for January, because one good, we know what these players can do. These players, the problem is Winks and Ali is that they have one performance out of 38 games, so that's not good enough. So we need to see how it goes. And for me, as of now, I'll still cash in both of them and get a good amount. And as rumors are stating, I'm hearing that we need to sell players to get players. It's classic Spurs.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure if you're going to sell any of the players right now, it's Winks and Ali. So Daniel Levy is going to come. Conte, put them in the squad.
you know what, Aravind? I would say honestly, I still think Ali should be gone. It's one game, and we know he's done this before. Harry Winks was someone that definitely was on the list of most people, myself included, to go. But you know what? Conte's playing him in the position that he's known for, what he became a Spurs regular for under Pochettino, which wasn't the defensive midfielder, which was playing these balls forward. And you know what? Under Conte, even against Vitesse, he came on and started running forward and passing forward. I think, and I said it as well, that I think Winks is the one that's going to get the get out of jail free card and have a serious another stint. So I wouldn't put Harry Winks on that list to sell. I'd rather sell Ali. I agree with, because I unless he starts really turning it around, but I'd put Lascelles and Dembele in, because I reckon you can still get quite a good fee for them.
I agree with you, but if that's a good offer for Winks, if he's performing really well, if Everton or something comes for 30 million, then I would still reconsider an offer. I know he's a good player, he's been performing really well. I'm just saying that I'm not talking about the short term, I'm talking about the long term of Spurs. And if we can cash him and get him a Kessie or something who's as much as we can see, they're a much better player for the team. So yeah, I know he's a homegrown player, but I still have a feeling that Harry Winks has a ceiling to one level, and if we can get a good amount, then I would not think one head to sell him to get in a better player. That's my feeling.
Fair enough, Aravind. And when you're looking at Crystal Palace, who are you most impressed with at the moment, and who can hurt us the most?
Conor Gallagher. That guy's doing really well, and for me, he's performing better than Zaha at the moment. He's much younger. The midfield and Vieira and Crystal Palace from last season is actually like they aren't going to be they're going to give a tough fight for us, but we're going to perform really well, that's for sure. But it's not going to be an easy match, which for last season, because they're having a mixture of results, but they're giving a good game in all of in recent matches, and they're doing pretty well. So Conor Gallagher is one of the players we need to look ahead. So if we can close him down, I think so. The defense is not that great. We can exploit them really well.
And just before I let you go, what is your score prediction, and who's going to score the goals this weekend?
3-1 Spurs. And for me, Son and Kane. He's going to play in the two up forward, and they're going to finish off the game.
Who's going to get the set? Who's going to get two? Who's going to get one?
I'm going to Son with the brace, and Kane to get a goal.
Can't you tell me Kane's going to get a brace? I've picked Kane as my star man this week on Predict the Prem, and Sims picked Son. Tell me Kane, please. Tell me Kane.
I don't. You know what? The thing is that if I tell that he doesn't score, so I just want to shut my mouth. Hopefully it goes forward. So I'm just going to keep my mouth because I did that against Liverpool. He's not going to score a goal. He went and scored a goal. So whenever
so say he won't score a goal. I like that.
Let's keep silent if he's kept less expectations. And just one line to end off is that just one thing to say about the Spurs is that whenever we have low expectations, they perform. Whenever we have high expectations, they don't perform, and that's the most classic Spurs which I can see. That no, we're not gonna win against Spurs. No, we're gonna lose, and then they go perform against Mura. We're gonna smash them 3-0, 4-0. We lose, and that's classic Spurs. So expectations, we're not gonna win the league.
Arabin, this is Conte Spurs. This is Conte Spurs. This is different Spurs.
I need to go to the bathroom. Arabin, Merry Christmas, buddy. I just need to go to the bathroom. See you soon, buddy.
Yeah. True.
Take my keys because those keys won't work downstairs by the front. All right, Aravin. So big up yourself, and good to speak to you again.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, mate. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, my friend. See you. All right. Is there anyone else waiting? Yeah. Mikey. Let's go to Mikey. Mikey, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, all good, all good. Excited for the game this weekend. Excited for Christmas tomorrow, or are you excited more for the game this weekend?
The game. Obviously, I'm going over to my family. I'm going over to my uncle's they're all Chelsea fans in my uncle's house, so it's always a bit of a hostile atmosphere when I walk in there. So, and we've drawn them in the cup as well.
Yeah. So. What was the reaction with your family to the draw?
So my dad's side of the family, they were really happy. They would have preferred Arsenal, but if we can get Arsenal in the final, then they'd be more happy playing Arsenal in the final rather than Arsenal in the semis. So they were happy that we got. They were just happy that we didn't get Liverpool. To be honest, because a full strength Liverpool, no matter how well we're playing, they're a different beast when they're full strength.
The thing is with Liverpool in this tournament. They don't ever play their first string, and Sadio Mane and Salah both going to be at the AFCON.
AFCON, yeah, but they're thinking of postponing AFCON because of the rising COVID cases in Africa. So, yeah, they might postpone it until the summer. But then if they play it in the summer, it'll be too hot to play. So I guess they'll have to find some middle ground. But yeah, I'm more excited for the game on the weekend because the third Boxing Day game was cancelled earlier today. I think it was the Everton one. So.
Oh, has that been cancelled, has it?
Yeah, I got the notification this morning saying a third Boxing Day game's been cancelled. So I'm just hoping that, unlike last year, they actually stick to the rules and we don't see Gio and Reguilon out together and being suspended by the club. So I hope that everyone behaves themselves enough to... Oh, is Brian back?
Brian is back.
Yeah,
Brian
what's up, Mikey?
No, Brian. No, so I'm thinking that the weekend's game is going to be a good one because I think Palace they have quality, and I hate to say it, they have a good manager in Patrick Vieira. He's proving that he's not just he's doing exactly what Thierry Henry couldn't, and that's competently managed. So
yeah,
that's good.
You think you're saying Vieira's doing a great job and everything, but they're still not getting that many wins on the board. What do you put that down to?
I think it's a lack of cutting edge. I know that they've got brilliant players like Gallagher, like Zaha, like Edouard, like Eze. I think no matter how Vieira's still a fledgling manager, he doesn't have the experience of a Conte who can gel a squad as soon as he comes in like he did with Tottenham. I think it's a building process because after Roy Hodgson, you're moving to a manager who plays more attacking football. You've got to give him this is a transitional period for them. I'm not saying they're going to become Europa League contenders. I'm saying that they'll probably become at the rate they're going, if they can keep, obviously, the first obvious thing is keeping Zaha and keeping Gallagher. If they lose Gallagher back to Chelsea, which they probably will, they're going to have to fill that hole. And I think Eze is more than capable of filling that for them. But in terms of, it's a transitional period for Palace. But I do think that I do think they're going to cause us some problems on the counter because this is, up until this point, Liverpool, they like to control the game. West Ham, they like to... We've had completely different styles, and Palace is a different style entirely because they don't like to control a game. They try and hit you with small bursts of pure pressure. So it's going to be a different challenge.
Well, let me ask you this. You talked about their change in style under Patrick Vieira, Crystal Palace. Will that, and historically, since 2016, we've won every game at home against Crystal Palace, only conceding 1 goal. So will this new style of play work in our favour, or will it work against us?
We've already seen it work against us earlier in the season with that demolition job at Selhurst Park, which was the first nail in Nuno's coffin. So I'd be wary of that. But then again, we're not the same team we were back then. But at the same time, I don't think Crystal Palace are either. The big key is not playing Matt Doherty against Wilfried Zaha, in my opinion. I know a lot of people have said that you should take Matt Doherty against and start him, but our left centre back is probably going to be Davinson Sanchez, and I know Davinson Sanchez performed okay, but Wilfried Zaha, like Sadio Mane, he's a pace beast, but probably one-on-one, you'd say Zaha is probably one of the most trickiest players to defend in the league, because if he's at his day one-on-one, he will spin you inside out 5 or 6 times a game. And I think playing Matt Doherty is a good option if their left winger, Wilfried Zaha, wasn't such a technically skilled player. I'd rather have someone, just because of that, I'd rather have Emerson, who can at least defend better than Matt. I know he's not a great defender, but he can defend better than Doherty can. And I'd start Doherty for the game against Southampton, who don't have such a quality left winger like Palace do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Can see the argument for starting him because of the games that Emerson's played, but I wouldn't take that risk putting Matt Doherty against Wilfried Zaha. I really wouldn't.
And in terms of the midfield, what would you do with that? Would you stick with Højbjerg and Skip, or would you go more like a Liverpool formation?
I prefer us playing a 3-5-2 rather than the 3-4-3. It gives us more midfield stability, and it allows Son and Kane to do their thing up front. I know Lucas Moura he's a personal favourite of mine. After that goal he scored, the absolute
the Moura
blind
social fan club.
Yeah, I always have
been. Welcome aboard.
I always have been. I remember. Oh god, who was it against? He scored it very recently. It was that amazing goal. Can't remember. And Norwich, yeah, it was Norwich. I can't remember. He scored that amazing goal, and he's been good. He scored against West Ham. I know he didn't. I know he came on in the final 10 minutes and didn't do anything against Liverpool because Joe Gomez basically neutralised his threat. But I still think Lucas Moura is an amazing player to come off of our bench in the 60th minute. If we play like an Ndombele or an Ali, they're not back to full fitness yet. If they start to tire, switch to a 3-5-2 with Lucas Moura as in the hole, I think, just behind Son and Kane, and have him doing what he does best and just running at people and beating them with some trickery. I think he's gonna really come on. I think he could really be a really good super sub for us, Lucas Moura. So that's why I stick to a 3-5-2, play the 2 men up front, let them do their thing, and have maybe Dele behind them with either Wink, Skip, Højbjerg, one of those 3 in behind sort of that front 2 and Ali.
Well, I'll tell you the other thing we've got to talk about here, because we're obviously talking about who should be the right back, midfield, whatever. One thing we haven't touched, I know I heard you talking about it yesterday, is Son. Son has not been the last couple of games. He hasn't been himself. Yes, he got a goal against Liverpool, but his first touch has been very disappointing recently. He's just seemed a little bit out of sorts. I think we need to obviously people don't say it because it's Son, and Son is incredible. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Sonny, but just because he's Son, that doesn't put him out the spotlight for criticism, and he has not been himself.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I think he's doing everything right, and you see the energy's clearly there, the commitment's clearly there, everything's clearly there. But for me, it's only his first touch that's letting him down at the moment.
Which has been pretty. I mean, if you look at it, that ball that he passed to Dele for the shot he should have scored was incredible, and the way he saw that was absolutely breathtaking. But I've always said it with Son as well. He sometimes shoots when he should pass and pass when he should shoot. And his first touch is, like you said, in the Liverpool one where he was clean through, and then again West Ham. But that first touch, it may be just that, but that's turning out to be pretty goddamn vital.
It is.
What do you reckon, Mikey?
I reckon that, we don't know how severely some of these players had COVID.
True.
I reckon that maybe, obviously it's a game of 50-50s. I reckon maybe Son had it maybe more seriously than other players did. You can't corroborate that, but I think if what we're seeing is him taking a few days to get back, maybe he had it worse than other players because he was. I saw a couple of reports saying that Son was patient zero with it, like he was the first case identified because on the very first day of the outbreak, it was said that Son and Son and Mora were the two players that had it. So I'm thinking maybe if he had severe symptoms, then it's just taking him a bit of time to get back to his scintillating best, and I'm sure we'll see him firing again very soon. I think maybe he just needs. I think he won't play. He can't play the full 90 minutes in both games in 3 days. I don't think any player can. He's going to rotate massively for both Palace and Southampton. I think it's a joke that we're playing 2 games in 2 days or 2 games in 3 days. I think we should play on the 29th and then on the 1st. I don't
that's
understand.
what Klopp was going mad about a couple of days ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't. Because if you're going to have a 2-day break and then a 4-day break, why not just make it 3 and 3? Play on the 29th, play on the 1st, and it makes these players aren't machines. With COVID. Ever since COVID, you've seen more and more players coming down with heart problems. Aguero, Ericsson. There's many more cases that are coming on, and it's seeming like ever since the backlog of games that the original pandemic caused is starting to catch up with players because they've had basically non-stop football for the last 21 months when they usually have 3 months out in the summer. And look at all of the other leagues having a winter break, and the Premier League is the only one that's playing 2 games a week all throughout January and February. And this is probably why the Premier League is considered so much more high intensity, because they scrapped the mid-season break after a season. We had it in one season and then scrapped it. I'm not saying that like a winter break like other leagues is what we should have, but like in relation to the amount of minutes the players not being forced but are having to play, it's taken an impact. And I think with the COVID outbreaks recently, a rest is needed. And I think maybe that's why Son's not at his absolute best, because he's, like many others, recovering from maybe a more severe COVID than was originally thought, and just needs a game or two, because he's played ever since we played West Ham and Liverpool. Now they're not bad teams. They were both like top 6 teams last year, and they're still doing well this year. So I think Son needs a lower echelon team than those two to bring his confidence back. And I think if he can get a couple of goals in either the Palace or the Southampton match, 1 or 2 goals, I think you'll start to see Son come back into his own.
And if he can only play one of the next 2 games, which game would you like to see him play?
Let me check where Palace and Southampton are in the table.
I can tell you, they're not very high. I'll get it up for you in a second.
Southampton are 15th and
Palace are 11th.
Palace are 11th. Southampton, their defensive records are almost identical. It's a 50-50.
But obviously, is it not worth saying Southampton's an away game? We haven't been that good on the road this season.
Yeah, but at the same time, we rested him he didn't play much in the West Ham game, so True. He'll be fit. So it looks like he's gearing up to play his second team for Southampton and the main team because he rested quite a few players for I know the West Ham game was still a big game, but with the Premier League games after Christmas to think about, it looked like he was preparing to play the full strength starting 11 against Palace, because it's a London derby as well, let's not forget. Even though it's not a huge one, it's still considered a London derby, and we're playing away to Southampton, who've been underwhelming at best this season. So I'm thinking it's looking like Palace are the more tougher of the opponents. So I'd rather see Son and Kane play together in the Palace game, and then maybe give like a Bergwijn and Mora a chance because he wanted to experiment with Bergwijn as a striker before we break our bank and buy Vlahovic in January, which I'm backing us to do.
Come on.
So yeah, I think he starts the full strength against Crystal Palace. That's what I'm going for.
Just to touch on that as well, Mikey, what we've got to remember is some of these strikers and whatever have these grounds that they're super. You got to remember, last time we went to Southampton, Son and Kane had an absolute field day. 4 assists, 4 goals. And sometimes these strikers just don't know how they do it. Like Harry Kane with Leicester, Drogba with the filth, Shearer with Leeds United.
Kane with that filth.
Yeah, Kane with the filth. Kane with this one. So who knows? It may be the place to play them together there as well.
I see where you're coming from based on the last time I went to St Mary's, who wouldn't start Son and Kane together, but I think logically, even though like there's a definite case to say, Kane and Son should definitely play, I think logically it makes sense to play the full strength against the team that's higher in the table, and obviously you want to get a win against Patrick Vieira. Let's not remember, they have an Arsenal legend as manager as well. A lot of the factors point towards us, not only for the 3 points and for the difficulty of the game. It's that you look at Southampton and they don't have a Wilfried Zaha, they don't have a Conor Gallagher, they don't have an Eberechi Eze, they don't have those flair players that can hurt you. I know they probably would have had Danny Ings, but he's gone now, and they haven't been scoring, they haven't been defending particularly well. All the factors point towards us playing a better 11 against Palace just to beat Patrick Goddamn Vieira.
Yeah, 100%. we need to beat that guy. But just before we let you go, what's your score prediction for Sunday?
I do want to see us blow someone away eventually. I know we will. I don't see it being Crystal Palace. I see it being quite a closely fought affair, because I think with their upturn in fortune, I don't think it will be a walk in the park, but I see it being a 2-0. I don't see us scoring 3, 4, 5 goals, but I don't see us being troubled either. It all depends if Conor Gallagher's been pretty much a consistently good performer, so if we can put Højbjerg and Skip on him to basically neutralise that. If we play 3-4-3 and only play Skip and Winks, or Skip and Højbjerg with the front three, we'll be subject to that midfield dominance that I was talking about last time. So I think playing that 3-man midfield with a physically robust player like Ali in the cam spot, I think we'll get a 2-0 win if we can shut down Zaha but basically Emerson and Sanchez on Zaha, and letting Reguilon get down the left, and basically saying to Emerson, track Zaha all times, man mark him if you have to, because I know how much he can hurt us.
All right.
So yeah, I predict a 2-0 with Kane, and I'm going to go for Reggie again as well.
Kane and Reggie, interesting.
Yeah.
Come on. All right, Mikey, let's hope you're right. Let's hope 3 points is on the way. Thank you so much for coming on once again.
And Merry Christmas.
We'll see you soon.
Merry Christmas, guys.
my friend.
Okay, so before we bring the next guest on, people probably have seen me looking at my phone on and off, and I said if we have any updates, I will update you now. I do have an update, and I'm going to read this now. People, just take this easy. Now, one thing I will say is Bob's ex-Tammy and his wonderful children are watching this. So please, people in the chat, send your love to his wonderful kids and to Tammy and to Kim. Now, I'm going to read this word for word. But what I have to say at the beginning of this is manage expectations and don't all of a sudden think, woohoo, brilliant, amazing. It's positive, but I'm going to read it word for word. Bobby is awake, but with mild sedation, but very groggy and agitated. He is still on the ventilator, but with only a mask now. They have removed the tube completely, and that's basically where they are right now. Now, we don't know how he's going to react to this. It could go downhill. It could be he stays positive. But at long last, and we all know, we all know and remember how much Bob Spurs loved on this channel. Bob Spurs speaks very, very highly. When he had his first open heart surgery, this was his therapy. This was where he got the bottles to come on and start doing his own channel. This is where he got introduced to the community through this wonderful person here, the normal person that sits in this seat. So how fitting is it that we're here together on Christmas Eve? He is awake, but is very, very groggy and very, very agitated. So at the moment, things are positive, but please, people, please, we have to manage expectations. I'm telling you this news because me, Kim and Tammy made a vow that we would keep people in the loop, but this is not to be brilliant. He is on the road to recovery. This is the latest update, and they're monitoring it. So it's a huge step in the right direction, and I'm close to tears. Why I'm a little bit So I apologise for that. But I know Tammy and his kids are in the chat right now. I'm sure Kim will be as well. Everyone send their love. It's two of Bob's kids' birthdays as well over the next couple of days as well. So what a birthday and Christmas present for them. What a little snippet of hope. So that's where we are, people. There is the breaking news. More news to follow, but as we speak, this is just where we are right now.
All right, well, everyone keep sending in your messages to Bob in the comments. Look, at the end of the day, it's a great step in the right direction. So please just keep making those steps in that same direction. That's all we can ask for. But that is great news, or great positive news on Bob. So yeah, it's important to manage expectations, but at least we're moving in the right direction.
Exactly. It's something we've been longing to hear, and now we just hope. Like he said, I've said the story every time, and I've spoken to you about it. When he went down on the ventilator, the first thing he said, or the last thing, shall I say, he said, was "Fuck COVID, we're yids," and he's fighting, and he's fighting, and he's fighting, and at the moment, he is winning that fight, and that is music to everyone's ears.
Keep fighting, Bobby. Keep fighting, Bobby. We love you, man. But we've got another guest to come on, and that... No? Oh, where'd he go? All right, well, we don't have another guest anymore. Josh,
well, what a thing to end on then.
Yeah, what a great thing to end on. Josh Spurs Debates was in the back end, but not anymore. So we're going to love you and leave you there. The most important thing to take away from this is get well soon, Bob. He is pushing, he is fighting, he is moving in the right direction. So please, everyone, keep spamming the chat with good wishes to Bob. And the second takeaway from this stream is Spurs, let's hope for 3 points this weekend. Merry Christmas to everyone out there. This is the last stream before Christmas, so hopefully everyone is going to spend some time with their loved ones over the next 24 hours, and we'll be back for Boxing Day. Predicted lineup and match preview coming your way tomorrow. Press conference is on this channel now, and a Tottenham update is coming your way as well today. So not much content over the next 24 hours, but enough to keep your Tottenham fixes filled, and we'll see you back for the match with the watch along on Sunday, which is me and Brains McLeod. Simeon and Brian will be in the stadium together on Sunday. There is no pre-match pump up on Sunday as David Harris is out of action with his family. So yeah, we'll see you all over the weekend, but thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Bob Spur.
Okay, yeah, come on Bob Spur. Love you, brother.
Love you, brother.